Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grid Live Pre-Race. I'm Cubby Lambeth from the Podium Finish. With me is Adam Lemerise and Josh Burch. Congratulations on 250 subscribers, Josh. A huge milestone for you. And please, for all of our viewers out there, be sure to comment and ask questions in the chat box below. This weekend, we have action in Sochi, Long Beach, and Las Vegas. And we'll start off with the Formula One Russian Grand Prix. And this is the 15th round of the 2021 FIA Formula One World Championship season, heading to Sochi for the Russian Grand Prix. This year is the eighth time Formula One visits Sochi, and Sir Lewis Hamilton has won here 4 times. Mercedes is the only team to win here between Hamilton, Bottas, and retired driver Nico Rosberg. They have a major opportunity to score a win and extend their lead in the Constructors' Championship over Red Bull. Hamilton is looking for his fifth win, and Max Verstappen starting further back due to an engine change, potentially a golden opportunity to reclaim the Drivers' Championship lead. However, when Verstappen has finished outside of the points, Lewis Hamilton has only capitalized once, and he scored no points at Baku and Monza. And today, another costly mistake when Mercedes seemed destined for the pole. Q3 track drying. George Russell, Ferrari, and McLaren switched to the slick soft tires. Hamilton hit the pit wall entrance. It's lost him and Bottas time to do laps on the slicks. And Lando Norris took a shot pole with Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari second, George Russell in the Williams third, and Lewis Hamilton in fourth. Starting with you, Adam. How important is it for Hamilton to leave Sochi with the points lead? Is he in an absolute must-win situation?
Oh yeah, Lewis Hamilton is in a much-win situation. On Wednesday's grid night, Kobe and I talked about the engine upgrade for Red Bull. So right now, Max Verstappen is starting dead last in the field. Lewis Hamilton is starting up toward the front. Lewis Hamilton definitely needs to take advantage of this opportunity and score the win to have an advantage over Max going into the last few races of the FIA Formula One World Championship.
It's funny, I've just seen Romain Grosjean spin in the IndyCar practice session on the second screen below me in the box, and kind of reminds me of what happened today as well. It was not a clean day for Lewis Hamilton. Starts fourth on the grid. I completely agree with you, Adam, and I completely agree with you, Kobe, as well. It is a must. He has to capitalise on the fact that Max Verstappen is starting last on the grid as well. He needs to leave here with the championship lead. There's 5 points between them as well. Sochi has been Mercedes' own track since 2014. In fact, you want to go further, in Russia, they've never been defeated. It was the Benz cars back in 1913 and 1914 took victory in St. Petersburg as well at the unofficial Russian Grand Prix. So absolutely, Mercedes have got history on their side. But unfortunately, with this crazy 2021 season that we're having, that's even making Russia exciting. I do not know what's going to happen next. But definitely tomorrow, he's going to face some strong opposition from the top three on the grid. So my prediction, I think he's only going to get a podium, but don't write out Max Verstappen.
Yes, I think Lewis Hamilton definitely has to try to go out here and win this race. And you're right, Josh. History is definitely on the side of Mercedes, but lately we've seen a lot of unpredictable things happen in Formula One. So maybe Mercedes' reign at the Sochi Autodrome circuit in Russia might be coming to an end soon. But I certainly think right now a lot of pressure on Lewis to go out there, score those points, and it actually hasn't been a banner weekend for Lewis Hamilton with the pit lane incident today, and I believe it was in free practice when he was coming to the pits and knocked one of his crew members down, a really scary accident. I'm really glad that crew member is okay, but it seems like Lewis might be off his game a little bit this weekend. And with the rain in the forecast, looking at the weather graphic right here, as the day goes on, 73% chance, 67, 63, 47% chance of rain. We could see some wet weather racing this weekend in Sochi. So here's my question, starting with you, Josh. Does this favor Max Verstappen to climb up faster and get points, or does it make it harder considering the risk of a crash racing everyone through the midfield?
Normally, I would say, yes, it is an incredible risk to get through the midfield in a wet race. However, I'm remembering Max Verstappen and what put him on the map. Not his win at the Spanish Grand Prix in 2016, but what he did back at the 2016 Brazilian Grand Prix in wet weather conditions. Absolutely, that race arguably should not have gone ahead. It did, and he had some fantastic maneuvers. He caught a spin at the top of the hill going over 160 miles an hour. He caught it. So if there's anybody who can master the wet conditions tomorrow, it is Max Verstappen, starting from so low down on the grid. Now, he is going to start 20th as well. There's arguments that he might start 19th because Leclerc had the penalty first. What the FIA are doing now is that they're going through the footage from free practice 1 to see which one of the two actually left the pit lane first, so that the first one out the pit lane will start ahead of the next car and so on. That was a rule that was brought in 2016 when all those engine penalties were racking up for everybody at the Italian Grand Prix, and all but one driver started in different positions. So with rain forecast tomorrow as well, Verstappen's going to be in a very good advantage to have a fast, reliable car ahead of him as well. And definitely, I'm predicting that he could at least get into the top 5. However, if it's a race where it starts off wet but then goes dry, there's nothing to stop him being right up there battling for at least the podium, because he's just got to time the pit stops right. He's going to have to hope for safety cars, that the field stays bunched together. He needs to get a great lap 1, maximize turn 2, stay out of some drama as well, and he'll be right back up there. So yeah, Max is going to be the one to watch tomorrow. It comes to something, as I keep saying, when this championship makes Sochi interesting, one of those boring races on the calendar. It is just fantastic, and definitely there's lots to talk about going into tomorrow still.
Me, even though Max Verstappen is starting in the back of the field, I don't believe that matters, because to me, he's at the end, he'll be contending for that win. You know, like I just said, Red Bull has a engine upgrade, you know, and they kept a secret from the public. And we saw what happened with Max in the Netherlands and Monza. Strong cars. So don't be surprised, even though Max is starting in the back, don't be surprised if he's contending for the win. We're taking a look at the top 3. Lando Norris, incredible job in the McLaren. Carlos Sainz Jr., what a drive for him in the Ferrari. George Russell in the Williams. You know, it could be difficult for Max Verstappen to get around all those 3 drivers, because each of them will be going hard out for the F1 victory in Sochi.
And looking at the top 3 starters again, with McLaren coming off a stunning 1-2 victory at Monza, Esteban Ocon and Alpine shocked everyone by winning the Hungarian Grand Prix, and Daniel Ricciardo and McLaren at Monza. Adam, can other Formula One teams capitalize on the weekend favorites' misfortunes, and which team can be the next to score a shock win this season?
Oh, I'm gonna go and say Williams, because George Russell, he's looking very, very strong. In that he qualified in 3rd position for the race tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins this race and go. You know, it could give him a lot of momentum going in for the rest of the season. And we all know that George Russell was Lewis Hamilton's teammate in 2022. Yeah, that'd look really good for him on his resume.
I completely agree with you, Adam, as well. I would love it so much if George Russell would take a victory tomorrow in that Williams as well. Their first win, of course, in Spain 2012. And if George can go to Mercedes as a race winner from Williams, I mean, that just proves he's a world champion in the making, doesn't it? They say rain is the great equalizer, and that's what helps Russell get up the grid. Rubbish, because we saw what Latifi was doing as well. He was down the order as well, and he didn't even go back out in Q2. He's got that penalty, of course, as well. But we saw what other drivers are doing in low teams as well. Schumacher never got out of Q1. Neither did Mazepin. And we thought they might have a chance today. They didn't. This is George's pure talent that is wrestling that Williams together and getting it high up the grid. So yes, definitely agree with you, Adam. But to play devil's advocate and go for another team that's looking quite strong here, if we can't have Lando Norris taking victory, maybe it'll be Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari will be the next team to capitalize as well. Ferrari have a strong opportunity here. Their car seems to like the damp, wet conditions here this weekend as well, and the slipperiness of it. So Sainz starts P2. Maybe Ferrari will take a shot win. And when was the last time we said, oh, Ferrari won't win? Or when was the last time we said, oh, Ferrari could win a first race in years? It's been a strange old time for the prancing horse. But looking at that top 3 on the grid as well, for Lewis Hamilton starts P4, you've got 3 drivers ahead of you, all chasing their first win, all of them hungry as well for it. Watch out for Lando, watch out for Carlos, and watch out for George. They are not going to let up. I said in my commentary as well, this is the next generation at front, and this is purely what everybody who's watched the junior formulas has been waiting about 4 or 5 years for. They're at the front in Formula One.
Yes, it's definitely an exciting time in Formula One, and it would be really crazy going what you said, Adam, if George Russell's able to win the Russian Grand Prix and a Williams, and George is a really talented driver. I think he's going to do very well for Mercedes next year and for many years to come. But I certainly think if it's wet, we could certainly see something crazy, get another surprise winner. May we see Ferrari go back to the top step of the podium with Carlos Sainz or even Charles Leclerc. It's really crazy. It seems like it's been forever since Ferrari has won a Formula One race. But if the prancing horse wins in Russia, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of partying back home in Italy at Maranello. And overall this weekend, Lewis Hamilton, the question we're all wondering, can he take advantage of Max Verstappen starting at the very back of the grid and score maximum points? And you can watch the Russian Grand Prix tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 5 a.m. Pacific on ESPN2. Then we have to wait several hours until the NTT IndyCar Series season finale, and IndyCar is going to be wrapping up their season with the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. For the first time, this race is going to serve as the season finale, but move back to the traditional date in the early spring in 2022. There's a 75% chance we'll have a first-time champion in the IndyCar Series since 2017 when Joseph Newgarden won his very first title. And we've had 6 different champions in the last decade. Alex Palou and Pato are looking to add their name to the list. How exciting is it for IndyCar having 2 young drivers compete for a championship instead of all of your typical veterans?
Oh, this is pretty exciting. You know, like we said time and time again here on the show, nobody expected this to happen. We all thought it would be Scott Dixon versus Alexander Rossi or someone in Team Penske. But have these 2 young guns competing to win their first IndyCar Series championship, this is pretty exciting. And to me, it's the future of IndyCar because, these 2 guys are so young. Don't be surprised if whoever wins the IndyCar championship tomorrow, don't be surprised if it's not their first championship title. I believe Alex Palou and Pato O'Ward can win multiple IndyCar titles in tomorrow and in the future.
If I was Zach Brown right now, I would be literally pinching my arm. I would be using lucky, monkey paws as well, with the fingers going down as well for wishes left. I'd be speaking to some gypsies, asking for tarot readings as well. I'd be doing everything to try and maximize my performance for tomorrow because, of course, Pato O'Ward's got a chance at the title and Lando's got a chance of a victory as well. 2 young guns he signed as well to promote the future of McLaren, and they're working out brilliantly. Alex Palou as well. We've seen him be Mr. Consistent this year as well. He bounced back from a poor first half of the race in Portland, bounced back to take the race win. We saw him bounce back, of course, on that race at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and bounce back as well. It's giving and taking as well. Not great that Laguna Seca, but we'll gloss over all that. But still, This is important as well, because just like in Formula One, just like in MotoGP, IndyCar is going through a time of change. It's the time that the older generation as well, though still competitive, are falling to the wayside. And the younger, hungry generation are right up there at the front. And they're the ones who provide the fast wheel-to-wheel racing as well, where the crashes always happen as well. So it's very, very exciting watching it. It's very, very exciting commentating on it as well, because you generally do not know what's going to happen. Long gone are the days of boring processional IndyCar championships and MotoGP being wrapped up about 20 races before the end of the season, and Formula One being a one league championship as well, with Mercedes leading the way. We have genuine title fights as well. As my picture starts to break up, I think I'm going to wrap this bit up. But honestly, yeah, it is fantastic to see two young guns out there for the title instead of the veterans that we've seen sort of, yes, arguably have their day, but boy, oh boy, it's a great image for IndyCar to have two new top guns at the top.
Yes, it's definitely a very exciting time for IndyCar having these two drivers, Alex Palou, Pato Award. I think they're honestly the future of the sport, and it just shows the future is bright. And they're not the only young drivers out there. I thought earlier in the season we were going to have Rinus VK up there as well, but strangely enough, after he had the cycling accident when I believe he broke his collarbone, clavicle, whatever. He hasn't been the same ever since that accident. Rinus VK has completely fallen off with his form, and he hasn't looked nowhere near the driver he was before that accident. And it's been really unfortunate, because I'm sure Ed Carpenter Racing was really expecting a big season from VK after the amazing start he had. That accident happened when broken the bones. Haven't seen the same Rinus VK. It seemed like he's been struggling quite a bit. So I think that young driver, he needs to evaluate what went wrong during the IndyCar off season and get back at it next season. I think VK, if he's able to reclaim that same form he had last year, he can have a breakout 2022 season. And we do have qualifying later today in a few hours' time. And for Joseph Newgarden, a pole will certainly help his chances a little bit, with a point for winning the pole. If Alex Palou wins the pole, Newgarden can only tie Palou and has the tiebreaker. However, Newgarden would still need to win, lead the most laps, and Palou only scoring 5 points, finishing 25th or worse. Realistically, it's Pato Award versus Alex Palou for the IndyCar Championship. And considering the odds been against Newgarden, it's his only strategy going into this race to win and hope everything else falls into place, with Palou and Award potentially running into trouble.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, completely agree there, Gobi. As well. That's his only game plan as well. Being so far back in the title he's really got an outside shot, hasn't he? We know it's O'Ward versus Palou at the front. Newgarden's holding on as well. He's got his claws bedded in, holding on to that third place. He's sort of looking up at the other two as well, saying, let me into your club, please. And he's trying too hard as well. Yesterday in practice, had a really weird spin as well that you just don't see happen. Herta had the same thing as well. So Newgarden pushing too hard again. He needs to go back to how he was in practice at Laguna Seca and just sort of relax a little bit, let the car come to him naturally as well. Just drive, just drive. And he's learning that actually, because right now in the second practice session, he is top on a 109.0343. So he is top of the board to Pato Award, which is great. He's obviously taken my advice quickly before I've said it, because I just looked down at the monitor. So yeah, Newgarden's top in the practice session that's going on right now, which is fantastic. Can he have that in qualifying? No. Penske have not been great in qualifying recently, even though Pagenaud was quick in practice. They always seem to fall out when it comes to quali. Definitely, however, though, for race win tomorrow, it's probably the only chance Newgarden's got at the title, and keeping his fingers crossed, his toes crossed, and he's having his lucky underwear on as well, that something happens to O'Ward and to Palou as well.
Oh, yeah. Joseph Newgarden needs to push all the chips into the pot and just go out there and try his hardest to win tomorrow's race in Long Beach. Like you said, Josh, I completely agree with you. It's Palou versus O'Ward, and Newgarden is hanging by his fingernails, saying, "I want to join in." But like you said, Kobe, realistically, it's O'Ward versus Palou for the championship. I think Newgarden just doesn't have it this year, but I wouldn't count him out next year.
I definitely think Joseph Newgarden is going to be out of the running this year. He just has so many things stacked against him at the moment, and realistically, he would need Alex Palou and Pato Ward to crash out of the race on lap one, and then he'd need to be absolutely perfect the rest of the way. And among all those other things, getting the pole, leading the most laps, all of that, it just seems like an impossible task for him at the well. It's probably just impossible overall. So realistically, we're just looking at an Alex Palou and Pato Ward championship. And Alex Palou, if he keeps doing what he's doing, having those strong, consistent runs, I think the championship will definitely be his. And for Pato Ward to get back into the running, they'll need Alex Palou to have some misfortune, in my honest opinion. And while most of the conversation is surrounding the championship battle, for everyone else, a win at the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach is up for grabs, one of IndyCar's most prestigious crown jewel events. Traditionally, we don't see crown jewel events host the season finale. The championship picture will definitely overshadow the race itself for the win and other battles on the track. Do you expect the other drivers out of the championship fight to show extra respect when racing around Palou, Award, or Newgarden for position?
Of course. And speaking of the Grand Prix of Long Beach, this 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 race has so much history in it. In 1986, Michael Andretti won his first career win, shouting for legendary Carter Rick Gallus Racing with Craco Automotive. Al Unser Jr. back in the day was known as the King of the Beach, winning I believe it was 5 in a row from the late 80s into the early 90s. And I believe tomorrow all the other drivers will give O'Ward, Palou, and Newgarden a lot of respect as they battle for the 2021 NTT IndyCar Series Championship.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Because if you're not racing for the title, so everyone out other than the top three, do you automatically jump out of the way when they come by you? Is that going to be the racer's mentality? Teammates are going to do that for each other. As even sponsors, friends would do that for each other. I just have this back in my mind. I don't see people like Romain Grosjean, Colton Herta, Scott Dixon, Rossi doing that. I think they're going to be the 4 drivers you've got to watch out for coming into the race on Sunday, who are just not going to give way. And ergo, they're going to be racing purely for themselves. So we could be in for a really good fight. Long Beach is a tricky track to overtake on as well. And it seems to be as well that it's fitting that the season finale is here at Long Beach after the season we've had. Don't know what it is. I'm looking at it. I know it's out of place massively to where it usually is, but it's got a nice feeling to it. I don't know what it is. But I'm really, really, really hoping that what we have above all else is a clean title fight, because what you don't want is fans saying, oh, well, you only won the championship because you forced him off the track and that sort of thing. There's sort of the toxic things we've had in Formula One in the past couple with title rivals coming together. I want a nice, clean fight. I want it decided in 95 laps, and I want it decided fairly. And beyond all, you go racing as well. There's no blue flag rule, so you go racing.
Yes, I definitely expect all of the drivers out there to be on their P's and Q's and be mindful of what's going on around them, because you don't want to be known as the guy who took out Pato O'Ward, who took out Joseph Newgarden, who took out Alex Palou and ruined their championship chances. And I know in the championship 4 in NASCAR over the years, we've seen the NASCAR drivers race the championship 4 with a lot more respect. So if a guy fighting for the championship is coming through, I won't say they'll pull over and let them by, but they'll make sure they give them a lot of room on the track and lap cars. They race those leaders with care, because they know what's at stake fighting for a championship. I don't think the competitors will make it easy on those 3 still in the hunt, but at the same time, I think they'll certainly be very, very respectful, because they know how serious this is. And like I said, you don't want to be known as the driver who ruined a driver's chance to win the championship. And Long Beach, such a tight street circuit, is definitely going to be quite a street fight. And I agree with you, Josh. The atmosphere at Long Beach, the season finale, it really does have a nice vibe to it, especially being right there in the LA market. So So outside of the racing, there's certainly a lot to do. And also have an IMSA doubleheader joining IndyCar in the streets of Long Beach this weekend, which we'll get into in just a little bit. And yesterday we got a little bit of silly season news confirmed. The worst kept secret in the IndyCar paddock finally out. Roman Grosjean is moving to Andretti Autosport, replacing Ryan Hunter-Reay in the number 28 DHL Honda full time. Grosjean is also bringing over his engineer and fellow Frenchman from Delcoin Racing, Olivier Boisson. Humco's Hollinger Racing also signed Callum Milot for the full 2022 season. The British racing driver will get the run for the championship, help build this team from the ground up, and experience oval racing for the very first time, including an opportunity to attempt the 106th running of the Indianapolis 500. How do you think both drivers will perform in 2022?
Well, Grosjean's now a lot happier racing on ovals after what he did at Worldwide Technology Raceway, which is fantastic to see. So he definitely wants to do the Indy 500 as well. I don't think his wife's going to be happy with that, but I think that's what Roman wants to do. Callum Ilott is a fantastic driver and will be a race winner in the IndyCar at some point next season. The same goes for Roman Grosjean. Undoubtedly, these are two stars coming up into the Premier Indianapolis, well, the Indianapolis Racing League, isn't it? Because that's what IndyCar is. Coming into American sports car racing as well for several others. I'm thinking as well we could see Grosjean winning 3 races next year, Ilott winning 2. What's also interesting, of course, is that Grosjean's going to have the DHL branding on his car for 10 races, and the other 7, I think, are not currently in a contract for who you are going to be on. So I think they're going to have a rotating livery for 7 races. So if you're watching this and want to sponsor Roman Grosjean IndyCar, get in touch with Andretti Autosport. I think they've got some liveries going for 7 races, but definitely both of them going to be winners next season.
Oh, okay, Josh. I like what you're saying. These two. Roman Grosjean, he'll be a race winner next year easily in my book. Callum Ilott, now he has a chance to experience, what is that? I don't think Callum Ilott has ever raced on an oval before, as far as my knowledge is concerned. But he'll have a lot of experience next year. And I think Callum Ilott I'll agree with Josh. I think Callum Ilott will win next year. And to see these two coming from Europe over here to the United States and competing in IndyCar, it says to me that a lot of the top European drivers and other formulas are coming over here to race because they may not get an opportunity to compete in Formula One, where a lot of drivers would like to race, especially in Europe.
In my opinion, I think this is the best case scenario for both drivers. Roman Grosjean this year did an excellent job with Delcoin Racing, with Rick Ware Racing at the beginning of the season. A lot of people were wondering why Roman Grosjean would sign with this team. They thought Grosjean would be at the back of the grid in this number 51 car, but then he come out run extremely well for Delcoin Racing and Rick Ware, overachieved with that organization, and now he's going to one of IndyCar's big dogs, Andretti Autosport, often known as one of the big 3 teams in IndyCar: Penske, Ganassi, Andretti. Considering Andretti's struggles overall in recent years as a company, people wonder if Andretti will get pushed out of that big 3, because Aaron McLaren SP has been really lighting it up this season. And next season's lineup: Alexander Rossi, Colton Herta, Roman Grosjean, and then what's expected to be the rookie driver replacing James Hinchcliffe, and Andretti Indy Lights driver Devlin DeFrancesco. A lot of people think that driver lineup make Andretti much stronger, to hopefully show that they're still in the IndyCar big 3, because there's really a close battle between Andretti and Aaron McLaren SP at the moment. And I think this is just a perfect storm for all the drivers. Roman Grosjean will be arguably with a much better or a larger organization. He'll be able to share data back and forth. And since Roman Grosjean is really good with giving feedback and all of that, and I think it's huge bringing over his engineer Olivier Boisson. They've really clicked really well and gelled at Delcoin Racing. I think it's going to be a huge addition for Andretti Autosport, and with the feedback Grosjean is able to get, I think it's going to help his teammates throughout Andretti Autosport as well. For Callum Ilott, Josh, I find it really hard thinking he'll
Mhm.
be able to win next season in IndyCar because of the team is waiting.
Oh,
And
come on.
Oh, come on, Kobe.
and here's the thing. Like, no offense to Junko's Hollinger Racing, but they admit it's going to be an uphill battle for them since they're still in the process of hiring people. Small teams still getting going, and Racer.com reported and select races next year. They're looking to potentially, if the funding is there, to hire a veteran and select races to help out Callum Mila, and also helps out as well setup wise. I know Carlin Racing has said that they like to have a second car on the grid next year as well, because it's so hard being a single car team in IndyCar, because having that extra car can really help with data and setup. I do think Callum Mila is going to have a solid rookie season. But considering the team that he's with, I think it's going to take a bit of time for them to get very competitive. And I think Callum, he's certainly the type of driver. If I'm starting up an IndyCar team, I'd like to build that program with him. So I think that's a smart move for Junko's Hollinger Racing, and maybe he takes that team to being a very competitive organization in IndyCar. Maybe he does the Roman Grosjean model, have a really good year, overachieve with them, and then 2023 rolls around, the top IndyCar team maybe will be calling his name. And you can be sure to watch the Acura Grand Prix at Long Beach on Sunday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBCSN. Tomorrow, Grid Live wrap up will follow the IndyCar Series season finale. We'll discuss the Formula One, IMSA, and IndyCar races, including the winner of the Astor Cup. We'll also recap NASCAR South Point 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Wednesday's episode of Grit Tonight. Grit Live wrap up Sunday evening in between Long Beach and Las Vegas. And Joshua, understand you have to bounce now. So we want to thank you for being on today's show, and we'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you
No
tomorrow,
problem.
Josh.
See you tomorrow. Enjoy some racing. It's going to be a cracker.
Yes, sir. Enjoy the time with your family, too.
Thank you. I will.
All right, see you tomorrow, Josh. And next, we have more racing from the streets of Long Beach for the first time in 2 years. IMSA is returning to the iconic streets of Long Beach for a doubleheader weekend with IndyCar. And on and off weekend for LMP2 and LMP3 classes, we have DPI, GTLM, and GTD at Long Beach for a 100-minute street fight. Last time out, we saw Acura dominate WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca with Wayne Taylor racing drivers Felipe Albuquerque and Ricky Taylor dominating and extending their championship lead over the team with a bunch of momentum entering today's race. And that team is Action Express Racing. The Wheeling Engineering Cadillac DPI could not be stopped on Friday. The number 31 Cadillac DPI, Felipe Nasr and Pippo Durrani, currently in second in the DPI championship, fastest in both practice sessions and won the pole, all with Felipe Nasr behind the wheel. With 2 races to go for DPI, a strong showing from Wayne Taylor Racing would give them a comfortable championship lead, entering Petit Le Mans currently 98 points ahead of Action Express. And for the best shot at the championship, Action Express likely needs to win today at Long Beach, and bad luck for Wayne Taylor Racing. Luckily for them, Cadillac seems to have the upper hand on a track that favors the DPI VR. Nasr led a Cadillac 1-2-3 in qualifying. Kevin Magnussen started second for Chip Ganassi Racing, and Lloyd Duvall in third for JDC Miller Motorsports. Adam, should we expect Cadillac to run away at Long Beach? Are Acura and Mazda even in the fight this weekend?
Oh, I believe Cadillac's going to run away with this race. You just said they start 1, 2, 3 in the race at Long Beach. To me, Cadillac has got a really good shot to win. All three of those cars have, starting up front, have an overall good shot to win. But for me, that Action Express Wheel and Engineering team, if they were to win tomorrow, give them a lot of momentum going into Petit Le Mans, because they have 2 experienced, well-known drivers. So I believe the number 31 Action Express Wheel and Engineering Cadillac DPI will be the team to beat in Long Beach.
I definitely think Cadillac overall is going to be the DPI to have on this street circuit. I know at other racetracks that seem to favor the Acura and Mazda, those high downforce tracks. But tracks like Long Beach, where you need a lot of where you have these slow corners where you need to put down the power, it seems like the Cadillac DPI VR really does extremely well on these type of circuits. And we did see a Cadillac win last time we were on the street course at Belle Isle in Detroit. It was that number 01 Chip Ganassi racing Cadillac. Ringer Van der Zandt and Kevin Magnussen winning in the Motor City. I think street circuits really favored this certain prototype, and I think looking at Action Express's championship hopes, I think manufacturer teamwork is going to be key if they want to take the fight to Wayne Taylor Racing and the championship. I know Chip Ganassi Racing, JDC Miller Motorsports, not in the championship hunt right now. And right now it's basically Cadillac versus Acura at the top. And with Cadillac 1, 2, 3, I think Chip Ganassi Racing, JDC Miller Motorsports, they need to work together and make life really hard for Felipe Albuquerque and Ricky Taylor in today's race. Need those other Cadillacs to play teammate to Action Express Racing and make life hard for the number 10 Wayne Taylor Racing Acura DPI. And if that happens, they make it very hard for the number 10 to gain ground. Then Action Express Racing can certainly run away with this race. I don't really see Acura and Mazda being in this one unless we have a full course caution at some point that and through strategy they're able to cycle to the front of the field. But I certainly think on these street circuits, I'd rather be in a Cadillac DPI, and with DPI only having Long Beach and Petit Le Mans left on the calendar, GTLM and GTD classes have 3 more races with an all GT race at VIR in between those rounds. Surprise, surprise, Corvette took pole again in GTLM. Jordan Taylor starting first in class over Tommy Milner, then Cooper McNeil in the Weathers at Porsche in third in class. Championship-wise, Taylor and Antonio Garcia, the number 3 Corvette C8R, have a solid 187-point lead over the number 4 Corvette. Tommy Milner and Nick Tandy in GTD. Madison Snow put the number 1 Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini on pole. Snow and co-driver Brian Sellers in a much closer championship battle in GTD. In GTD, a total of 8 drivers are within 86 points of the championship lead. Bill Oberlin and Robbie Foley, Turner Motorsport BMW enters Long Beach, leading the championship. Then we have Zachary Robichon, Lawrence Van Thor, Roman DeAngelis, Ross Gunn, and then last pairing, Madison Snow, Brian Sellers in a competitive 17-car GTD field. If any one of those driver pairings has a bad race, they would lose way more points than the small 6-car DPI class, and they would be in a much tougher spot with only VIR and Petit Le Mans left. Adam, in your opinion, do multiple GTD title challengers have way more to lose than Action Express does against Wayne Taylor Racing in DPI?
Of course. You know, there's some, in GTD, there's a lot of experienced drivers in this division. One of them you talked about, Kobe, is Bill Oberlin. You can go back to the early 2000s and even before that, when he first competed at IMSA. He's competed with IMSA for so many years, going back to the old champion Audi days back in the day. To me, there's a lot more parity in GTD right now, and a lot of drivers have a shot to win this title over Wayne Taylor Racing in DPI.
And Adam, I'm actually going to say the opposite of you, saying that Action Express has way more to lose than in GTD title contenders, because after Long Beach, there's only 1 race remaining for the DPI class, and that's the season-ending Petit Le Mans, the 10-hour endurance race at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. While the GTD cars, they got 2 more races after this. They have VIR, the all-GT sprint race, and then the Enduro. So GTD, if you have a bad race, you still have a chance to go out there and fight for the championship, although it would be preferred, all the teams would preferably like to have a good day on the streets of Long Beach. But for Action Express, they have a bad race. They're gonna, and Wayne Taylor Racing has a good race. Wayne Taylor Racing will be able to walk into Petit Le Mans a lot more comfortable with their lead. But if Wayne Taylor Racing has a bad race and Action Express able to go out there and dominate today, they can definitely put the pressure on the number 10 heading into the season finale at Petit Le Mans. I'm sure it'll definitely be an exciting race to end the IMSA season coming up in the middle of November, and coverage of today's IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship race on the streets of Long Beach gets underway in just a few hours' time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC SN. And now switching gears to the NASCAR Cup Series, Las Vegas Motor Speedway is hosting the South Point 400 Sunday night East Coast time to kick off the round of 12. 7 p.m. Eastern Time on NBCSN, a late start in the Vegas heat. Weather forecast expected to be in the low 90s, so it's going to be quite a sizzler. And last time we were here, Kyle Larson earned his first win of the season, what I'm calling his welcome back to NASCAR win. And yes, Joe has picked Kyle Larson for his pick a winner. I am completely shocked. I am telling you that. And for everyone else, though, maybe we should evaluate all of our options before ultimately deciding to join Joe in gambling on Kyle Larson in Sin City. Joe gets racing, showed up with some great speed in the round of 16 and appeared to have caught up. Denny Hamlin with the win, second place finish, and potentially a top 3 finish at Bristol until he cut a tire late. Martin Truex Jr. won at Richmond. All 4 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas made it into the round of 12. Hendrick Motorsports, all 4 cars made it too, but 2 just barely advanced to the round of 12 with Alex Bowman and William Byron. I'm sure their I'm sure their hearts were beating out of their chests at various points of that race. However, we had no mile-and-a-half tracks in the opening round. Adam, at the mile-and-a-half in Sin City, do you still consider Hendrick Motorsport to be the favorite, or can they be challenged by Joe Gibbs Racing or Team Penske? Is Stewart Haas Racing even in that conversation?
Well, I believe Hendrick Motorsports is the team to beat overall for the Cup Series championship. And give the fans some perspective. Caitlin Vince's Instagram, who, as y'all know, is a host of NASCAR Race Hub and the Burch show of the trucks. She's doing a Q&A, and I asked her who she thinks is going to win the overall championship, and she told me Kyle Larson. So I believe Hendrick Motorsports is the team to beat here in Sin City. But it's the Bush's home track. Kyle. So those 2 brothers will be battling it out in the heat at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Well, I certainly think Hendrick Motorsports will certainly be the favorite this weekend, especially Kyle Larson and that number 5 Chevrolet. He won the spring race earlier this year, and he's looked strong pretty much everywhere. So I think if you definitely want a safe pick, it's definitely Kyle Larson. But I also think Joe Gibbs Racing Team Penske will be competitive as well on the mile-and-a-half. I don't know if I feel comfortable picking Stewart Haas Racing, but Kevin Harvick, he's been really showing it lately and just performing extremely well. Maybe we'll see Kevin Harvick use the moment, like I talked about in Grid Live wrap up last week. Maybe we'll see him use that momentum and that fire from that incident in Chase Elliott, and he'll go out there and win at Las Vegas to make a statement that he's back. Stewart Haas Racing is back, and they're here to win the championship. And we have a bit of breaking news coming in right now from Jordan Bianchi from The Athletic. And right here, Ben Snyder from Grid Live wrap up providing us right here. Jordan Bianchi reported that the NASCAR Xfinity Series is going to Portland International Raceway next year, and I'm sure that would definitely make Joe really happy. So, Adam, I just wanted to get your thoughts. What do you think of this reporting from Jordan Bianchi from The Athletic, saying that the NASCAR Xfinity Series is going to be at Portland International Raceway in 2022?
Oh, I love this. I mean, it gives them, there's not a lot of NASCAR racing in the Northwest right now. Now the Xfinity Series run there, potentially it could be a double hitter weekend with the IndyCars. We haven't seen the Xfinity Series schedule come out yet, but wouldn't it be cool to see an Xfinity Series, the IndyCar doubleheader, Labor Day weekend at Portland International Raceway. I know it'd make our colleague Joe Samaniego very, very happy because he'd be there on site to cover a NASCAR race as well as the IndyCar race. So I love the idea. I say go for it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yes, I definitely think it would be an incredible thing. And Jordan Bianchi is a really good reporter. I'm sure you saw him in last week's video. Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott. It seemed like Kevin asked him to stop recording, but Jordan, kept recording anyway because that's his job. If you want to have a conversation in private, then take it to the holler just like they did. Yeah, but Jordan's reporting is usually spot on. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna have an Xfinity race in Portland next year if Jordan says so, and that will be an extra race for GRIDnet to cover. And Adam, you brought up a good point. We hadn't seen the Xfinity schedule yet, so we don't know if it's going to be an IndyCar Xfinity doubleheader or we're going to see it on a separate weekend. But nevertheless, if Joe's available, he'll be able to cover 2 races at Portland International Raceway instead of just one. IndyCar has some real great coverage from the Grand Prix of Portland. We definitely encourage all of our viewers, if you haven't seen that coverage from Portland, from Joe Samaniego on the ground at the racetrack, be sure to check that out. Xfinity to Portland to NASCAR going back to the Northwest, to Pacific Northwest. I think that'll be a huge win for NASCAR going back to that market.
That's right, Kobe. And with only 2 more mile-and-a-half races left in the playoffs, the rest of the playoffs has a lot of potentially unpredictable moments, especially races including Talladega and the Charlotte Roval. Everyone is still talking about what happened between Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick at Bristol last Saturday night. The two got into it after the race, and Kevin Harvick almost broke his glasses after slamming his helmet and Hans device on the roof of his car. In 2015, we saw Kevin Harvick get into Trevor Bayne, causing multiple cars to be included in an accident, and ending the race under caution and a little show. And many were suspicious that if it was intentional to advance to the next round of the playoffs. Now, a lot of drivers were very angry at Kevin Harvick. And last year, we saw Kevin Harvick knock out Kyle Busch at Martinsville, ending Harvick's chances to advance to the championship round of 4. In 2010 in Homestead, an unapologetic Harvick got into Kyle Busch, and Kevin and Harvick said that Kyle was racing like a clown and parked him. So, Kobe, I'll ask you this question. Should Chase Elliott be concerned about an angry Kevin Harvick getting revenge on him after what happened at Bristol?
Oh, yes. I think Chase Elliott definitely needs to be watching in his mirror. But I think during the round of 12, he'll be perfectly fine for the most part. I don't expect Kevin Harvick to get revenge against Chase Elliott on a mile-and-a-half track because of the speeds, and definitely not next weekend at Talladega Super Speedway. And I will say, if Kevin Harvick were to get revenge next weekend at Talladega Super Speedway, that would be worthy of suspended the rest of the season, in my opinion, because you can get somebody seriously hurt or killed at Talladega, and I don't think we've ever seen anybody pay somebody back at a super speedway because it is extremely dangerous. And I think Kevin Harvick has enough respect not to do that. But Charlotte Roval, anything is possible. Chase Elliott has an issue tomorrow night at Las Vegas, has a bad finish, gets involved in the big one at Talladega, and then in a must-win situation at the Roval. If Chase Elliott is leading, come into that final chicane on the front stretch, and Kevin Harvick second, would Kevin Harvick knock Chase Elliott out of the way right there and ruin his championship hopes in a must-win situation? I think absolutely he would. And another race to watch for payback, Martinsville Speedway, right before we get to the championship four. If Chase Elliott's in a must-win position there, if Kevin Harvick wants to pay him back there, I think that would certainly happen. So if I'm looking at the rest of the schedule, I think the most likely places where we could see payback is definitely at Martinsville Speedway and the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with you. And Martinsville Speedway is on Halloween. Hint, could be a trick or treat. I mean, we've talked about in the past that a good place to get revenge on somebody is a short track. So I think Kevin Harvick's looking at the schedule and saying, Martinsville is coming up. Chase Elliott better watch his back, because we saw what happened last year between Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. You don't think that moment could be on Kevin Harvick's mind at Martinsville? I think the race has to be Martinsville. That Chase Elliott needs to not. I think the race of Martinsville we could see another intense battle between Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick for the NASCAR Cup Series championship.
Yes, I'm sure it's going to be an intense battle all across the board for the NASCAR Cup Series championship after Las Vegas, Talladega, and the Charlotte Roval. 4 drivers, once again eliminated, won't be advancing to the round of 8. And we did this prior to the playoffs, Adam. We're going to do it again before each round. So who do you think is going to be the 4 drivers who won't advance to the round of 8 will be eliminated after the Charlotte Roval?
Wow. All the remaining drivers, it's hard to say. But for me, I'm going to say Kevin Harvick doesn't advance. I'm going to say Joey Logano doesn't advance. This may sound crazy to some fans, but I don't think Alex Bowman advances. And the last driver, yeah, I believe it will be William Byron. Those are my 4 who I think will be eliminated in the round of 12.
And for me, looking at drivers, I think who may get eliminated. This might shock some people considering how well they run all season, but I think we're going to see 2 Hendrick cars not advance, considering it was hard for them to get into this current round after the Bristol night race last weekend. I think William Byron, Alex Bowman, I think they're going to be out of it. Christopher Bell as well. And my 4th driver, I think this might surprise a lot of people, and it's not Kevin Harvick. I think Kevin Harvick and Stewart Haas Racing have finally figured something out for this championship run, and I think Kevin Harvick will advance to the round of 8. But the driver who I think is going to be out of it, think he's going to run into some bad luck, is the driver to number 18 Toyota, Kyle Busch. Yeah, I said it. I think Kyle Busch might be one of the drivers who gets eliminated after the round of 12, and it's going to be really interesting to see which drivers will advance. And all of our viewers in the chat room, be sure to share with us which 4 drivers you think will be out of the championship after the Charlotte Roval. And now it's time for everyone's favorite game, pick a winner.
That's right, Kobe. And we gotta say congratulations to the 3 TikTok users who correctly guessed the winners last weekend. And we currently have a tie for 10th place with 4 TikTok users. So be sure to subscribe to us on TikTok. Look for Grid Network. So now it's time to make our picks. Kobe, I'll start with you. Who wins the IMSA race on the historic streets of Long Beach, California?
Oh, this is a really easy pick. I'm going to go with Cadillac. but to be specific with the team, I think there's been one Cadillac who has dominated this entire weekend. They've led all the practice sessions. They won the pole for qualifying with one driver, Felipe Nasr. I think him and Pippo Durrani are going to send a statement to Wayne Taylor Racing. Don't forget about us. We're still in the championship fight. We're going to go out here, dominate this entire weekend at Long Beach, and come time for Petit Le Mans in November, we're going to be ready to go up against you, Wayne Taylor Racing, Ricky Taylor, and Felipe Albuquerque. So I think number 31 Action Expressways and Wheeling Engineering Cadillac DPI is going to be victorious on the streets of Long Beach.
I've got to disagree with you, Kobe. I'm going with the driver that's starting right alongside him. I'm going with the number 101 Chip Ganassi Racing Cadillac DPI to win around the streets of Long Beach. Next up, we've got the Formula One Russian Grand Prix at the Sochi Autodrome. Kobe, I'll start with you again. Who takes the checkered flag on Sunday morning in Russia?
Oh boy, Russian Grand Prix is going to be very unpredictable, especially if we have a wet weather race. So we could definitely see some wacky things happening. We might even see a surprise winner. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that history is going to repeat itself. We're going to see Mercedes at the top step of the podium, but it's not going to be who you expect. After the announcement that George Russell was going to be going to Mercedes and Valtteri Bottas' future figure out Alfa Romeo, I saw a different Valtteri Bottas at the Italian Grand Prix. I saw someone who no longer had pressure on him, and I think he's going to go out there and make a statement. This is arguably one of his best tracks on the schedule, on the Formula One calendar. So that's why I think driving the number 77 Mercedes, Valtteri Bottas is going to win the Russian Grand Prix.
You know, we have three good young drivers starting in the top three. So I'm going to say George Russell in the Williams takes the win in Sochi, Russia over Lewis Hamilton, over Max Verstappen. So, and hopefully it'll give me, hopefully it'll let me be tied with Joe. Next up, Kobe, we've got the season finale of the MTT IndyCar Series. Can Colton Herta make it 3 in a row to end the season?
Well, Adam, I think you mean 2 in a row to end the 2 in a row, 2 in a row. Yeah, 2 in a row to end the season. And I'm going to say yes. I'm going with Colton Herta. He's looked really strong this weekend. And surprisingly, all 4 Andretti Autosport Hondas have looked very strong. And I think heading into 2022 season, this is exactly something that you want to see for Andretti, because for the past couple of years, they've struggled across the board. And for all 4 cars to be running this well, showing speed at Long Beach, I think that's a good sign. And I think Roman Grosjean also has to be happy to see that as well. But yes, Colton Herta, I think he's going to close out the season. He's going to win this on the streets of Long Beach, and he's going to enter the offseason as the favorite to win the championship in 2022.
I have to completely agree with you, my friend. I'm going with Colton Herta for Andretti Autosport. I think this will give him a lot of momentum going in to the offseason. And I'll just say it right now, as an early 2022 championship pick, I'm going to say Colton Herta wins the 2022 NTT IndyCar Series Championship. So we'll see what happens. And last, definitely not least, we're off to Sin City, in the city that never sleeps, Las Vegas, Nevada, for the South Point 400. So Kobe, who takes the checkered flag on Sunday and claims the jackpot?
I'm going to be on Team Joe on this one, and I'm going to pick Kyle Larson to win Las Vegas. Young Money is going to sweep Sin City in 2021.
You know, our colleague Joe has always picked Kyle Larson, and you just did too. I guess I'm going to have to join the bandwagon, and I'm going to have to say Young Money sweeps Las Vegas as well too tomorrow night. And if you want to share your picks on social media, use the hashtag pick a winner. And if your guess is right, You'll be on our leaderboard. And starting next month in October, if you win on your first shot, you get triple points. So be sure to play along with us for the rest of the season. And also, in the 2022 season, use the hashtag Pick a Winner. Kobe, time to wrap up another edition of Grid Live Pre-Race.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're out of time for today, but please be sure to like and subscribe to GRIDnet. We're here on YouTube. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And we also encourage you to visit our Patreon page and invest in Grid Network. Big shout out to Colin, Mark, D. Shell, and Robin H. for all your wonderful support. Be sure to check out Pobless. Please consider spoiling your furry friend. They have dog leashes, clothing, and accessories for dogs of all sizes. 10% of your purchase goes towards helping homeless, sick, and rescue dogs. Please be sure to visit public.com as well. The stock market, social media home, the link below, and referral code gives you $5 to invest immediately. Public.com will allow you to connect with your friends. You can make new friends and learn how to properly invest in the stock market. And tomorrow will be on the air shortly after the IndyCar season finale to recap the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, the IMSA race, and the Formula One Russian Grand Prix on Grid Live Wrap-Up. And since tomorrow night's NASCAR Cup Series race will end so late on the East Coast, we'll do a special recap of the South Point 400 at Las Vegas on Wednesday night's edition of Grid Tonight here with Adam and I. So definitely looking forward to another great weekend of racing, and also a special NASCAR recap in place of our feature story on Grid Tonight. And for Josh Burch and Adam Lemerise, I'm Kobe Lambeth from the Podium Finish. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the races.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.